right, welcome to Talking Restaurants. I'm Ken Dudak.
And I'm Chuck Villafranca.
And welcome to part one of our restaurant profitability series that we're doing. I'm really excited about this because, Chuck, we talk about restaurant profit and what is the percentage of profit do you think restaurants make?
Well, our clients that we're working with now, when we started with them, were averaging 5 to 7% profit. Now, some we're losing money. Some are losing money. They're new businesses and they're trying to get on their feet. And the surveys that we took out there, again, 5 to 7% profit. And we are talking 20% profit for your restaurant.
Right. I mean, we didn't do a very scientific survey. We just kind of really talked to a lot of our clients out there to see, give us a ballpark estimate on what they really believe that their current profitability is. And we're telling you that you should, hands down, without even guesstimating, be able to make a 20% profit.
And when we were out there talking, it's kind of funny because the restaurant owners would look at us like we had, 7 heads and we were some crazy dragon. But we're going to break it down for you, and we're going to go step by step through food cost, operating costs, and labor costs. 3 major categories in your business. Everything that you spend a penny on will go through these 3 categories. So we're going to show you how to break down these categories, what falls in them, where you can cut, what you can do to reach that 20% profit goal. Very attainable. So let's start with menus. Okay, the biggest number one. This is the biggest marketing tool that you have in your business.
Why is that?
It says everything about your business.
It says, yep.
Who you are, what you are, your concept, what you're doing, what you want to be. Every item on there is your profitability. That's your money.
Whenever I go into a restaurant and I see like a really poorly done menu, I get scared.
It's kind of amazing the menus that you will see out there. When you go into a major corporation, national chain, you'll see their menus are colorful, pictures, menu descriptions. And so let's talk about pricing first of all, because we'll get into menus on design and development in another segment.
You're talking about our theory of the 9s, right?
Theory of the 9s is just one theory that you can do. We'll be out there and we'll see, menus priced at $9.75 for an item, or $7.15 for an item, or $32.35 for an item. When the corporations has already set the standard, the chains, 99 cents. Everything should be $7.99, $9.99, $10.99. This way, customers will not recognize it. No, you could change it right now. Everything on your menu, 99 cents. Maybe you'll have 1 in 200 customers that'll go, oh, the price went up. So that's a great strategy right off the bat. And based on your volume, if you're doing $1 million a year, that's going to net you about $20,000 right there, yep, just by changing your menu to 99.
And we have an example of that. One of our clients that's out by the Bill Stadium, you had him change all of his 5s to 9s and try it for a month, and not one customer noticed it.
Not one.
And how much did he make? You said it was like $400 more profit in that month?
Per week.
Per week.
Per week.
Per week.
He was making $400 a week profit, and he was just a small little sub shop, and French fries, fast food, nice little sit down place like the size of a Subway, but privately owned.
Right.
He was amazed that it was that simple to make an additional $400 a week. And in some cases, that could be a raise for your employee that you want to keep. That you got a really key employer, a key manager, and you could toss them an extra $100 a week because you didn't do anything for that money.
Right.
And to keep valuable employees is another way to make profit. But again, that'll be in another segment. So now let's talk about menu description. So along with raising your price to 99 cents, or if you're not comfortable and you have something at $7.15, go to $7.49. It'll still be acceptable. So let's talk about menu descriptions. In many cases, menu descriptions could net you an extra $1 or $2. When you talk about, topped with, married with, smothered with,
delicious.
Any kind of those action words that will really enhance your menu. You need to describe each item and what it is, what's on it, and you'd be surprised how much more money you can get for that item. Now, thirdly, fourthly, we need to be out in a community and looking at every single restaurant that is within your competition. Like if you're a sub pizza shop, you should be looking at other sub pizza shops. If you're fine dining, go to some fine dining restaurants in your area. Not to spy on them, but let's see where they're pricing their menu. Where are they at? They could be selling something for $2. If you're fine dining, maybe $5 more than you're selling it for. Which in that case, you could up it an extra $1 or $2, maybe $3. Right. And it's not going to hurt you because the guy down the street is already higher on that item.
Right. You want to be comparable with your competition.
Absolutely, right. Absolutely. But you got to go out and look at the same type of restaurant that you're in. So those are little tricks that you might be surprised that you're not getting what you should get for that item.
Absolutely.
Now, menu placement. Now, each item on your menu should be profitized. Now, how much does that plate cost you? And how much can I sell it for? So let's say you're doing your fast food and you're selling cheeseburgers, and you're at a 19% food cost for your cheeseburger, but you're only making $1. Well, think about that for a second. You got to sell 500 cheeseburgers to just make $500. So why don't we incorporate that like a 2 cheeseburger meal or a cheeseburger meal? You know, people are still going to buy the cheeseburger obviously by itself, but if you give them a value and you add a fry and a drink, now it's $6.99. Yep. And you just made $4
right.
instead of $1.
Yep.
And again, the corporation fast food chains already have all these value meals out there. So that's another little tip. Menu placement. Once you profitize your menu, and every single item, I mean, when you're adding in a creamer, a sugar, you know, how many cups are you giving? Are you giving refills on your coffee? All that needs to be factored in, so you know exactly what your profit margin is on every single item of your menu. It is so huge. And yes, it takes time, but this should be done before you even open your doors if you're new.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're not new and you've been in business for a while and you don't know what that is, well, I don't want to say shame on you because it sounds like an insult, but shame on you.
Shame on you.
Because it's money in your pocket.
We're going to say shame on them.
Big money.
Absolutely.
And and then, okay, you got your menu profitized, right? You know what you're making. So now you got some items that you're making $6, $7 on every time you sell one. Well, there's certain placements that you put these profitable items in certain areas on your menu, and you highlight them, and people will buy more of them. It's a proven fact in the industry that people remember what they read first and last.
Or put a picture.
Well, a picture, or you can even box it in.
Yeah.
But you're drawing attention to that item.
Right.
And you don't want more than 2 boxes per page.
Yep.
But again, we'll get into menu design and development in another segment, that's how to do all that.
And that's one thing that I do agree with you on that too, is with the boxing it in, picture. One restaurant that I worked at, whenever we had a picture of something in the menu, we sold a ton of it.
Right.
And I've seen that firsthand.
But when you do a picture, make sure that item comes out looking like that picture.
Oh, right.
Don't grab a picture off the internet.
No.
Take a picture. I mean, cell phones have unbelievable pixels and
right.
picture now.
Well, that's what you did with your restaurant when you had a couple of your key items that were pictured and.
Right. You don't want to overdo it to make it confusing.
I'm just getting hungry now talking about it.
I know, right?
But that's appealing. That's what happens. You think about it, you see it, it makes you want it, and it makes you hungry, and it makes you want to order more.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. But again, we could talk about menus. I can go on about menus for a whole hour. So
right.
We're going to stop there on menus. We just gave you a few nice tips there, and very, very important. It is you. That menu is you. So if you're looking at your menu and it's typed in black and white, or it's really kind of just lame, and you need some help, just give us a shout out. We'll give you the 1-800 number of our company, so you could give us a shout out if you need to, and we can give you some tips along the line. So let's go into vendors now with food costs here. So we talked about menus, and now we're going to go into vendors. What are we doing to make sure our vendors are pricing us correctly for the quality that we want to buy? Right? A lot of times you'll have restaurants buying from 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 vendors. And that is probably the worst thing that any restaurant operator could do. First and foremost, it costs every single company about $100 average to stop a truck. When you talk about their gas, repairs, insurances, paying the driver, medical. I mean, everything that's factored in there.
Yeah, that's their operating costs.
Right, that's their operating costs.
Right.
And they figure it out per truck stop.
Yep.
So right off the bat, the company that you're buying from has to make $100. Now you're buying from 5 people. Well, there's $500 gone.
It's terrible.
They're getting that money somewhere in their pricing structure.
Right.
Okay? It's all they're getting it somewhere. So now if you're buying from 2 vendors, you have a premier vendor that you do about 80% of your business with, and then you got a backup vendor. And let's even throw in a produce company because it's people like to buy produce daily.
Yeah, produce
fresh.
is more of a
Right.
daily type thing anyways. That's assumed.
But it's still considered a vendor because a
Right.
lot of these produce companies out there now, they sell mayonnaise, they sell
Yep.
dressings, they sell steaks,
Right.
not just produce anymore, like the old days.
So it's good to find a produce company with a good backup selection too.
Correct. And in many cases, if your main company's short on something, they may have it. So that's a good thing.
Right.
Now, once you commit to 75 to 80% of your business from a premier vendor, we can start negotiating a contract with that vendor. And we will get into a segment on contract pricing and getting a agreement with a vendor, and you'll be shocked. One of my clients made $72,000 a year more.
Yep.
Now, granted, he was a $2.4 million restaurant in sales, but $72,000 when we consolidated and got a vendor contract. Then, Coca-Cola, he was also not on a contract with them, so we got him on a contract with them. He saved an additional $8,000 a year when we got him on a contract with Coca-Cola.
And some of these vendors will provide you with equipment, the stuff that you need to run their products.
They'll come in and they'll take care of you in any way. We'll get into vendors in another segment, but the things that they can offer you when you contract with a vendor, it'll save you so much more money.
And let me
Go ahead.
give you an example on that too. From your point of view, from your one guy that saved a lot. I'm going to show you an example from one of the clients that I was working with that did the opposite. Because they had 5 different vendors, and I'm looking through their invoices, they're getting hammered with pricing, they're getting hammered with fuel charges and everything because they're not consistent with the vendor, and they even stopped talking to a rep. They just phoned in their order. So there's like no control, and they're barely surviving as a restaurant because they're not investing in the proper having
Makes
the proper
you wonder
vendor.
why.
Yeah, and that's why they're losing. They're getting killed, and they can't make it up. And unfortunately, they're probably
what happens to the private sector sometimes is they work so hard, and they don't have the millions of dollars to get a general manager, assistant general manager, marketing dollars all over the place. So they get inside their 4 walls and they find themselves working around the clock.
Right, they're the GM, they're the payroll department, they're the
human resource,
accounts payable, they're purchasing, they're everything.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where the time comes in. It's insane.
Yeah.
And
they're the full-time cook, some of them.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, they're the head chef, they're the cook.
It's crazy.
It's horrible.
But when you consolidate all this, and as we get into operating and labor and everything, we show you how to put that 20%. You're gonna make enough money to hire a manager,
right,
and give yourself some relief. I mean, time is important to an operator, and many times they find themselves,
And we live that. Chuck, tell them about when you had your restaurant, when you first opened your restaurant, to make sure that everything ran smooth and you followed these procedures. I mean, I know when I stopped in to see you, you were sleeping in your office.
Yep.
Because you wanted to be there. I mean,
well, that was the first year.
And we see how you restaurant owners out there, how you're dedicated to this, and we want to be able to help you make your life a little easier, give you more time with your family, give you more money in the bank to make that legacy, to build what you're having. Because the one restaurant I talked to that was ready to close, they've been in business for a long time, and they were crying to me in tears because they didn't have a legacy to build, because they didn't do exactly the stuff that we're trying to teach our restaurant owners out there to do. It can be done. It's easy if you follow the steps.
It can be done, and corporations do it on a much larger scale.
Right.
But the private sector can do it on a smaller scale.
Right.
You have to pay key employees. Yeah. Face it, because you cannot operate your business But we're getting off topic. I want to get back to vendors. We'll get on to
Let's go.
employees.
All right, yeah, let's talk about that later. We're going to go back.
God, there's so much we could talk
Absolutely.
about.
We could just keep talking on this stuff because we're excited about it. We have that passion, right, Chuck?
It's
It does. It's like we want to see restaurants succeed because you know what? It's about that small, that privately owned restaurant that really is where quality is.
Right. You want the family atmosphere and the private sector atmosphere, but you can run your business like the corporations do.
Absolutely.
I'm not talking about how you treat your people.
Right. The
not
mechanics
talking about,
of it. Right.
Yeah,
the
mechanics, the nuts and the bolts and the screws.
Yep.
I mean, you can run it as tight as you
You don't need $1 million systems. You don't need elaborate stuff.
Nope.
You just need to listen to what we're showing you, and we're out there to help if you want us to help you.
But let's get back to vendors. When you contract with a vendor, then there's broker deals that can be put in place. Then there's special buys, like if you have the space, and it's just a win-win. And again, we'll get into more detail on vendors, but we're going to wrap that up for part one. We just talked about menus, pricing, placement, some menu descriptions. We talked a little bit about vendors, and again, we're going to have segments on menus. We're going to have a segment on vendors, but we're going to cut this off at part two because you guys are probably busy, and we know how restaurants are, and you don't have a ton of time. So we're going to get into part two, but we're going to wrap part one up, and we'll start talking about portioning, purchasing, all kinds of different things.
And so we're talking restaurants. I'm Ken Dudek, and this is Chuck Villafranca. And
thanks for tuning in.
Thanks
we appreciate
for tuning
it.
in.